I thought I'd finally found love in Medellin until a pregnancy test exposed a secret that would destroy everything I believed about trust, love, and the woman I was ready to marry. If you want to hear real expat stories that could save you from making the same costly mistakes, smash that like button and subscribe, because this story has twists you won't see coming. My name is Stan. I'm 41 from Philadelphia, and what I'm about to tell you happened just this year in Colombia, a country I've been traveling to since before the pandemic changed everything. It started innocently enough. A friend back home, a salsa instructor, kept telling me about Cali. "You have to experience Colombia," he'd say. So I did. That first trip with him, life-changing. The culture, the warmth of the people, the energy, it was addictive. From Cali, I explored Bogota, then Cartagena, and finally Medellin, that famous city of eternal spring where the weather is perfect year-round. But here's the thing, I wasn't some naive gringo looking for love. I'd been single by choice for years, enjoying casual relationships from the States to Latin America. No strings, no commitments, just pure freedom. But then life hit me with a curveball that changed everything. This year was different, though. My father passed away unexpectedly, and suddenly my mother's voice was in my head every day. "Stan, maybe it's time to settle down. Give me a grandson before I'm too old to enjoy him." Those words haunted me more than I cared to admit. And that's when I met her, the woman who would teach me that sometimes the most beautiful lies come wrapped in the most convincing smiles. One perfect Sunday afternoon in Sabaneta Park, I was buying street food when I saw her, Lorena. 26 years old, stunning, with this warm, genuine smile that lit up her entire face. We struck up a conversation that lasted hours. She was articulate, classy, with this super feminine energy that made me feel important, needed, like a man should feel, you know? She told me she'd just moved back to Medellin after losing her job with a beer company in some small town. She was a single mom, which didn't bother me. I respected that she was taking care of her child. When I met her son and her sister, they welcomed me like family. She had no job at the time, so when she needed help, $100 here, $150 there, I stepped up. I thought that's what you do when you care about someone. But what she told me next should have been my first red flag. A few weeks later, after we visited a museum downtown, she looked into my eyes with tears forming and said, "Stan, I'm falling in love with you, but I'm terrified you'll fly back to the US and forget I ever existed." I explained that I didn't live in Medellin full-time. I came for months at a time to enjoy life, learn Spanish, experience the culture. But her vulnerability, combined with my mother's voice still echoing in my head, made me think, maybe it was time to give love another real shot. She promised she'd wait for me, and we started making plans to travel together. The day I flew back to Philadelphia, she cried at the airport like her heart was breaking. What happened next convinced me she was different from every other woman I'd ever met. Back home, we talked every single day. Sometimes we'd fall asleep on video calls, phones in our hands. A month later, I couldn't take it anymore. I booked another trip. This time was deeper. I met her mother, more extended family. We traveled inside Colombia together. Guatapé, Santa Fe de Antioquia, places that became our places. She'd call me every morning asking if I'd eaten breakfast. She'd text me throughout the day saying she missed me. The attention was intoxicating after years of casual relationships. But then something happened that should have been a massive warning sign. One night, I couldn't reach her for hours. When she finally answered the next day, she claimed she'd been drinking with her sister and didn't want me to see her in that state. I let it slide. Love makes you forgive things you probably shouldn't. When I returned to Medellin, she had prepared something that made me believe I was the luckiest man alive. My next trip was a week away, and she kept saying she couldn't wait to hold me again. When I walked into the apartment I was renting for her, I couldn't believe what I saw. Flowers everywhere, candles lit, red rose petals on the floor spelling out "Te amo," I love you. That night, let's just say it felt like a fairy tale. But 3 days later, she hit me with something that changed the entire game. 3 days into what should have been a perfect trip, I noticed she looked sad, distant. When I asked what was wrong, she said something that stopped me cold. "Stan, I expected you to propose this trip. We've been together almost a year." I explained that while I cared deeply for her, marriage was a huge step, maybe in time, when we knew each other better. She wasn't satisfied with that answer. The next morning, she disappeared into the bathroom with something that would either make us a family or destroy everything. The very next day, she pulled out a pregnancy test from her purse, looked me in the eyes, and said, "I think we might be pregnant." She disappeared into the bathroom for what felt like an eternity. When she came out, she was beaming. "We're having a baby. You're going to be a daddy. What would you have done in my shoes?" But something wasn't adding up, and my gut was screaming at me. I was shocked. Part of me was actually happy, because I knew my mom would be over the moon about having a grandson. But another part of me, the logical part, was doing the math. I'd only been back in Medellin for 5 days. Could she really know this quickly? "Yes," she insisted, "some women know right away." But my gut was screaming. I suggested we go to a clinic for a proper test. She agreed, maybe too quickly. The results came back positive, but they also revealed something that made my blood run cold. The clinic confirmed it. She was pregnant, but they also included information she probably hoped they wouldn't. The pregnancy was over 2 weeks old, not 5 days, not a week, over 2 weeks. That night at dinner, I looked into the eyes of the woman I thought I loved and asked the question that would shatter both of us. That evening, sitting across from each other at our favorite restaurant, I stared directly into her eyes and asked the question that was burning in my chest. "Lorena, is this baby mine? And before you answer, I need you to be completely honest with me." The silence felt like it lasted forever. Then I watched this woman I thought I knew completely fall apart. She started crying, not gentle tears, full body-shaking sobs. "No," she whispered, "it's not yours." What she told me next revealed a level of deception that still keeps me awake at night. Through her tears, the whole truth came spilling out. The father was her ex-boyfriend's friend, a married man twice her age with his own family. She'd been seeing him every time I left Colombia. But here's the part that broke me. She admitted she wanted to marry me, so I'd keep supporting her financially, and so she could hide the pregnancy until it was too late for me to leave. I was never her boyfriend. I was her meal ticket with benefits. Her final move showed me exactly who she really was. I told her it was over. Despite everything, I still paid the remaining 4 months on her apartment lease. Call it my final act of stupidity or decency, I'm not sure which. She ended the pregnancy, which honestly was probably for the best given the circumstances. I thought I'd closed this chapter for good. I'd walked away, paid the last rent, and moved on with my life. Then, a few months later, my phone buzzed with a message from a friend. No text, just a screenshot. It was Lorena's profile on Colombia Cupid. Brand new photos, smiling like nothing had happened. And right there in her bio, she was looking for a serious relationship with a foreign man. When I saw that, I didn't feel anger anymore, just relief that I'd dodged a lifetime of headaches. She taught me an expensive lesson about trust, but at least I learned it before putting a ring on her finger. Here's what I learned. Sometimes the biggest danger isn't walking alone at night in a foreign country. It's trusting the wrong person with your heart and your wallet. If this story saved you from making a similar mistake, hit that like button, subscribe for more real expat stories, and share this with anyone planning a trip to Colombia. Trust me, it might save them thousands of dollars and months of heartbreak. And remember, Love should never feel like a financial transaction. When it does, you're not in a relationship, you're being played.